And while we're talking about transportation and money, Oregon and Washington lawmakers overseeing the Interstate Bridge Replacement Project were expecting an updated cost estimate at a meeting this morning. But they didn't get one, which caused some tension. The previous estimate was $6 billion. That was 3 years ago, and it's widely assumed, including by project leaders, that the next one will be much higher. Back in September, lawmakers were pretty clear they wanted the new estimate ready for today's meeting, which didn't happen.
I'm extremely disappointed that we're not getting cost data today. The program has shared that we must have a financial plan to the federal government in order to move forward. Well, the states need to have financial plan, and my assumption is if the costs are going up, the two states may be asked to contribute additional money. Yet our legislative session begins next month. Can you tell us whether or not you're going to be coming back to the two state legislatures for additional money?
Well, that question was not directly answered, by the way. Project staff said the delay comes down to the U.S. Coast Guard and if the agency will approve the team's preferred bridge height, which will determine the bridge design. Either fixed or another drawbridge, which would be a lot more expensive. The project's incoming leader told lawmakers today, with the Coast Guard decision expected early next year, it made more sense to wait for their answer.
When you folks last met without me, that timing for that decision from the U.S. Coast Guard was not known. And so given that it is now very in the near term for the program, we are trying to make sure that we're reflecting that outcome in our planning and the cost estimate body of work. And that information is really critical to develop an accurate and comprehensive cost estimate.
Now, one Oregon representative pressed the IBR team to explain why they couldn't just provide two different estimates, one for the fixed design and one for the drawbridge. And she, too, raised concerns about going into the upcoming legislative session without at least some new numbers.
So I hope your team will get us a budget by January or earlier so we as the state legislature in Oregon and I assume in Washington, something to go on by. Because we're dealing with hard decision to cut our agency. And we want to protect you, but if we don't know what's going on, how can we protect your team from budget cuts? Thank you. So I want a date, and I want a report. Or else I would say that your team is not doing its work, to be blunt, ma'am.
Okay, it's worth noting IBR staff appeared to be just fine with the idea of two cost estimates back in September. In fact, they told lawmakers that's exactly what they plan to do and that they do it before getting an answer from the Coast Guard. But apparently not anymore. And despite lawmakers' best efforts, the team did not offer any kind of definitive timeline this time around.
I would say we are trying to get things done certainly early next year to be able to fit into all the rest of the timeframes. So I think it is in that sort of scale of, a month or two space to be able to finalize that stuff. But that's about that sort of a loose range is what I can say to you today because we don't have it mapped out completely. And because of the differences in schedule for delivery of the difference between a fixed and a movable.
So are you saying that 60 days past the last decision that matters, you would have a cost estimate to us?
The team is mapping it out right now, and so that seems reasonable. And also the team is still mapping it out right now. So we will share it as we know it.